Some of the world's most powerful people are scared. Recently arrested Madam Ghislaine Maxwell has videos and evidence that implicate royalty, politicians, and celebrities in horrible abuses of minors. Now, the elite's entire house of cards could be crumbling down, and one of the first to fall is Prince Andrew.
Prince Andrew, he's shaking, he's scared.
But he is just the tip of the iceberg. Why was his brother, Prince Charles, best friends with Britain's most prolific child rapist, Jimmy Savile? Why was a child trafficking ring being ran out of Buckingham Palace? And why was the body of a missing teenage girl found on the Queen's estate?
Incredibly, a body found on the Queen's estate.
Want to know how deep the royal rabbit hole really goes? Then don't click away. In a different time, they would have gotten away with it. Epstein's conviction, the Lolita Express, the creepy island would all have been swept under the rug, while the complicit media looked the other way. But this is the 21st century, and the internet wasn't about to let them off so easily. Social media, blogs, and YouTube continued to expose the operation, forcing the mainstream media's hand. Now millions of people are waking up to the reality of elite child trafficking and the fact that some of the most influential people in society are involved in unspeakable horrors. Enter the British royal family. Movies, television, and Netflix desperately sell the public a fabricated image of them as respectable people to be looked up to and admired. But now, it is undeniable that the Queen's son, Prince Andrew, was close friends with Ghislaine Maxwell and a frequent visitor to Epstein's properties, where he engaged with underage sex slaves. Now, royal lawyers are working overtime to try and mitigate this crisis, all paid for by the British taxpayers. And that is only the tip of the iceberg. Ghislaine Maxwell is charged with 6 counts of sex trafficking of victims as young as 14.
Ghislaine Maxwell, she's got evidence against so many important, famous people that the rich and famous Prince Andrew, he's shaking. Took down his website this week. He's scared, very scared. This is a catastrophe for the royals. They have exposure here that's great and deep. And Prince Andrew is a very serious problem for the royal family. Now, what do you do in a circumstance where he's being accused repeatedly of raping these poor little girls?
The FBI has urged Prince Andrew to sit down with them and discuss what he knows about what went on at Epstein's properties, but he refuses. Ghislaine first befriended Andrew at college and was a frequent guest at Buckingham Palace, where she often failed to sign in as required of visitors. A fact that was highlighted recently with the discovery of a photo of her and shamed actor Kevin Spacey sitting on the Queen's throne. Spacey has been accused of raping several underage boys. Andrew splashed down £500,000 for his daughter Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday in 2006. On the invite list was not only Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein, but also convicted sleazebag Harvey Weinstein. Great company these people keep. We know that Ghislaine was with Prince Andrew as recently as the spring of 2019. Long after Epstein's operation was revealed. Andrew's predilection for young girls was an open secret among the elite. Here's a clip of Johnny Carson making a joke about it on The Tonight Show.
Hi, this is Johnny Carson asking, you have a daughter who's a really good-looking chick. Well, you may be able to change her life and improve your financial status, because Prince Andrew is looking for a new girlfriend. Just drop a nude photo of your little nymphette in a self-addressed stamped envelope and mail it to Royal Affair, Buckingham Palace, London.
During an interview in 2015, before his official campaign announcement, Donald Trump hinted at the horrors that went on at Epstein's Island, calling it a cesspit, and saying, quote, "Ask Prince Andrew about it."
In the Q&A,
well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool. So,
the Clintons are friends
and he's
of
been
yours,
there
right?
for many times.
The royal family has had close calls before. An elite pedophile ring, similar to the one ran by Epstein and Ghislaine, was operated inside Buckingham Palace, in which underage victims were groomed and pimped out to members of the royal family by one of the butlers. It wasn't until 2008 that the police caught up with the Queen's own butler, Paul Kidd, who ran an underage sex trafficking operation out of Buckingham Palace. But the abuses don't stop there. In the early 70s, a 16-year-old boy got an opportunity to work at the prestigious Buckingham Palace. But shortly after his employment with them, he began to change. Eventually, he told his parents he had been sexually abused by members of the royal household. According to a former Metropolitan Police officer, an investigation into an elite pedophile ring was covered up in the 80s when it was revealed that a member of the royal family was involved. He was told by a fellow Metro policeman that the whole investigation was shut down by Crown Prosecution Services.
The Sunday Express went further, however, and talked of a palace secret that could bring down the monarchy. The rape allegations were made to Princess Diana by a valet called George Smith, who said that he was raped by a servant of Prince Charles. However, it is believed that George Smith made other allegations of an even more serious nature, that the Queen intervened to stop those allegations coming out in court.
Take, for example, Prince Charles's uncle and mentor, Lord Louis Mountbatten. After his death, unsealed FBI files revealed that he was a pedophile and serial abuser of children.
The authors of War of the Windsors state that Lord Louis Mountbatten had the nickname Dickie, and for good reason. Philip's uncle Dickie was the last viceroy in India, where he was a known pedophile who sexually exploited young working-class Indian peasant boys. Another book, The Kincora Scandal, connects Lord Dickie Mountbatten to a child prostitution vice ring in Belfast, Ireland. Authorities failed to intervene at the Kincora Care Home for Boys until 1981, despite reports over the years of child sexual abuse. The operators of the Kincora child prostitution ring were eventually convicted in 1981 of the ritual sexual abuse of defenseless young boys who were sold like prostitutes. No charges were ever brought against the VIP customers of royals, politicians, lawyers, and judges. Belfast citizens finally had reason to celebrate when Prince Philip's pedophile uncle was killed by an IRA bomb planted in his boat.
In fact, it is he who introduced Jimmy Savile to the royal family. Savile was a serial sexual abuser of the worst kind, preying on children, the elderly, and even dead bodies. He is said to have been the most prolific sexual abuser in the UK. He was best friends with Prince Charles. He was also a procurer of children for the British royal family.
I've just been writing an article about it for the last 2 days, going out over the weekend, and I've headed it, Jimmy Savile, Doorman to the Cesspit. You could say doorway to the cesspit as well, for reasons I'll explain. I was first told that Jimmy Savile was a paedophile in about 1997, 98 by a number of people, but including the people who had serious connections into the royal family. Not that they were members of the royal family, but they were very close to people that were on the inside. And they told me about the Satanism that went on in the royal family, the pedophilia, and all that stuff. And then out of nowhere, they brought up Jimmy Savile. And of course, you know, I'm into a conversation about, you know, royal family, how they treated Diana, pedophilia and all this stuff. And suddenly Jimmy Savile comes out of nowhere, you know, this aging disc jockey. And I obviously asked the question, you know, where does he fit in? And they told me about not just his pedophilia, but his necrophilia. He has a thing about having sex with dead people. And it was pointed out quite rightly to me, why do you think he volunteered to be a porter and a volunteer in hospitals, particularly the one in Leeds? Because it gave him access to mortuaries and dead people, basically. But the biggest story, the biggest picture story, is that he was a procurer of children. And he procured them for the royal family. He procured them for people like Ted Heath, who is exposed as a Satanist, paedophile, and mass child killer. And he was therefore untouchable. You know, if you look at some of the quotes that he gave at various times, he said he was untouchable. And he gave an interview for Esquire, a magazine, in which he said, the thing about me is I get things done and I work deep cover. I've known the royal family for a million years. He was talking about his connections to the royal family and how he was a regular visitor to Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, Highgrove, the country estate of Prince Charles.
This sicko was actually knighted by the Queen, and after he died, Prince Charles gave a public tribute to him. He was even used as a moderator during his marriage to Diana. Princess Diana hated Savile, and especially loathed the fact that he was refereeing her marital spats with Charles. When Diana married Charles at the age of 20, she entered into a world of horrors she could never have imagined. She was trapped in a gilded cage with a family of pedophiles. The royal family despised Diana for her kindness and the fact that she was so loved by the people, and they were not. Ghislaine Maxwell and Prince Andrew bullied Diana relentlessly. Maxwell even bragged to friends about making Diana cry and said glibly, quote, "We hated her." But Diana was more clever than they thought. She threatened to reveal what was going on in Buckingham Palace to the world. She had planned a major announcement shortly before her staged accident.
The evidence was dynamite for the royal family. Diana, Prince of Wales, had kept record of all threats and bullying of Prince Philip. She had also recorded evidence of serious sexual offenses which took place inside the royal household.
The Queen herself has been implicated in the disappearance of native children from Canada. In 1964, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Charles traveled to British Columbia and visited the Kamloops residential home for Aboriginal children. According to eyewitness William Coombs' signed statement, the Queen arrived with no photographers and little fanfare. 10 of the smarter children of the class were taken for a picnic by the Queen and never seen again.
There's Kevin Annette, a pastor who's been warning about the abuse of children in Canada, but with links back to Britain. He's now been banned from Britain.
And links to the Crown as well. Our Queen and Prince Philip going out to Canada and taking 10 children from the smart class of a school, and those kids never been seen again, and made to kiss our Queen's feet.
Earlier, Prince Philip traveled to California and made a special request to visit the Bohemian Grove, the notorious elite campground where a ritual sacrifice is performed every summer in front of a giant stone owl. A special meeting of the Grove was convened for the prince, with a very limited guest list. On New Year's Day 2012, a dog walker found a body on the Queen's Sandringham estate.
On the Queen's estate in Sandringham. The cause of death not yet known. Royal correspondent Max Foster joining me now from London with more on that. How bizarre, Max?
Absolutely, a real murder mystery, isn't it? Apparently, a dog walker discovered some human remains on the estate on New Year's Day. It is open to the public in many places. Only around the house is it very private and secure. And this happened about a mile away from the main gates to the house. So it is in the Queen's backyard, you could say. This is what the police told us about it earlier this morning.
I think the circumstances indicate that she is probably the victim of murder. The body has been in situ for some time, but again, the experts are here to establish exactly what that time frame is.
It turned out to be that of a teenage girl who had been missing since August. The case got little media attention in the UK and was quickly hushed up. The police referred to it as a quote-unquote complex inquiry, and no one was ever charged in connection with the girl's murder. Who knows how many other bodies are waiting to be found on the Queen's various estates. The Windsors, or more accurately, the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas, have long been involved in Satanism and pedophilia. Illuminati survivor Arizona Wilder said in an interview with David Icke that she had witnessed satanic rituals participated in by Queen Elizabeth and the royal family.
All I could pick up was that for some reason there was a malevolence towards Diana. And Diana, I had never seen at a ritual. I wondered what she knew about all of this.
What have you seen the royal family do, the Queen Mother, and the other people you've seen in the rituals? What have you seen them do?
I've seen all of them drink human blood and consume human flesh, and they have their own goblets in which they have blood, and these goblets are encrusted with jewels. And they also have their own daggers, and that the dagger goes into the goblet, and they stir the blood around with it, and it's also a symbol of a phallus going into the vagina when they're doing this. And I've seen them do this, and some of them have even, like the Queen Mother I saw she had her own, it's between a very elaborate ornate chair or a throne kind of thing brought in for her to sit. And because before these rituals actually start, there is a kind of people move around the room and talk, or recognize one another. It's a formal kind of a ritualistic setup, the way they talk and the way they're introduced. They introduce each other. It's like a court.
What are they wearing?
They're wearing robes. They're not wearing anything underneath the robes because there are orgy kind of things that go on at the rituals also. And
involving the royal family of Britain?
Yes, involving the royal family of Britain, and the sacrifice and the eating of, consuming the sacrifice, and they are involved in that.
You've seen them do that?
Yes, I have seen them do that.
Given everything we know about them, inspectors from Scotland Yard should be knocking on the door of Buckingham Palace, but that will never happen. Unfortunately, the royal family is above the law in the UK. The courts serve at the Queen's behest. It is literally her government. So Andrew is currently safe as long as he stays within the UK. But he recently canceled an upcoming luxury golfing trip to Spain, and legal experts believe it is because of the country's tough extradition treaty with the US. Why are both princes connected to notorious pedophiles? Why was the body of a missing girl found on the Queen's property? And what happened to those 10 missing kids, Miss Queenie? We truly are living in an age of revealing. Slowly, the curtain is being pulled back, and the public is beginning to get a glimpse of what has been taking place inside Buckingham Palace. But it is still just the tip of the iceberg. What will the public do when they find out about the snuff films, human hunting parties, and cannibalism? As always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoy my productions, please like and subscribe, and help me get the word out by sharing this video. If you would like to support this channel and help me make more videos, please head over to patreon.com where you will find members-only videos.